Don't talk about me when I'm gone.
Hey winners, it's Vicky here. Welcome to this video where I am filming a psycho teacher story time. And I know what you're thinking, like, where did that come from? Well, I have officially switched schools and I'm gonna tell this story of this very interesting music teacher that I had, and I've wanted to talk about him for a long time, but I don't know, I think some of the teachers in my old school are still kind of friends with that teacher, so I didn't want to make it awkward. So now I am finally making this video, and yeah, let's go. So it all started a few days before the beginning of the school year. The school year was 2018-2019, yes. So I was in 7th grade and I was a host at the school opening, so I had to be there a little earlier to learn everything. And that's when I met the teacher who we're gonna call Mr. Music, because he was the music teacher. So I met Mr. Music then, and he seemed like very chill, because before the music teachers, they would like make us study a lot in music, although it was one of those classes that we were supposed to just be chilling in. So he seemed the type of teacher who wouldn't really force us to study too much, so of course we all liked him very much. But then we had Bulgarian class. That year we had very serious exams in Bulgarian and math, so we had extra preparation for them. And the teacher gave us work and she had to go into a meeting. So we had to be left with another teacher, and that teacher just so happened to be the famous music teacher, the soon-to-be famous music teacher. We were talking about Ivan Vazov and something about our Bulgarian work. And then suddenly we somehow ended up on the Buckingham Palace, and he said that his friend worked in the Buckingham Palace. He was a servant for the Queen. And we were like, cool, maybe like he actually works there. And then he was like, but you know what, this is like a very big secret, so you shouldn't tell anyone. Like, this is like very inside information, but the Queen has a cloning. Yes, you heard me right, the Queen had a cloning. So we were like, wait, what do you mean? Basically what he said was that the Queen was dead, and they were gonna reveal it after the Brexit was official. And she had a cloning that's taking up her place right now. And we were like, actually, one thing for him, he was very persuasive. So whenever he talked, he would make you believe all the random stuff he said. So we're just sitting there, we were kind of like, yeah, okay, like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then he went on to tell us, yeah, the Buckingham Palace is so messed up, the people who live there. For example, they have a tradition that on Christmas, the Queen gets a newborn baby, like it's given to her, and she drinks its blood as some sort of tradition. Like, we were like, wait, what? The Queen drinks blood from a newborn baby on Christmas? And that was like, kind of like, yeah, sure. And then the thing is, he wasn't like making a joke, he was super serious. He was like, yes, that's like true, but like that's very inside information, but it actually happens, you have to believe me, kids. And then I was like, yeah, that's like one of the theories with like how Diana died. And he's like, you don't know the true story about Diana. I was like, wait, what is it? And he said, so the driver, Diana's driver, he took a fire extinguisher and he hit her in the head with it. And then a tractor, came in and crashed the car over to make it seem like a car crash. And then when she went in the hospital, they poisoned her. And actually, when he told that story, it made me kind of believable, just the way that he was telling it. So then I come home and I tell my parents this story, and my mom literally bursts out laughing. And while I'm saying this, I realize how dumb this actually sounds. So the next day I was like, okay, this person is not quite okay. Then comes the next story. He was telling us about his time inside the Buckingham Palace, how he went in as an inside guest, not as a visitor. And I've seen people go there, for example, like when they earn an achievement, the Queen gives them like little, I forgot what they were called. Anyway, I've seen that, so I was like, yeah, sure, you could be there, but like, why were you there? And he's like, well, my friend works there, so like he got me to come in. They did a background research, they took my phone and stuff, and like I went inside the Buckingham Palace and I sat on the Queen's throne. So I was like, wait, you sat on the Queen's throne? Like, wait, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah. But I didn't believe him. I was like, wait, show me proof. And he's like, they took my phone, I can't show you proof. And then comes the next story. So basically they have like storage rooms where they keep all of their treasures from around the world, and he found portraits of two very famous Bulgarians, Vasilevsky and Christoborev. So he found them there that were basically stolen from Bulgaria or something. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, sure, you somehow got into the Buckingham Palace, but they're not gonna let a random crazy weirdo like inside their like treasure. Like, that does not make sense. No, like, it doesn't. So after this story, we were already starting to think that, you know, he's not okay. And then, like, throughout the year that he taught us, we found little bits and pieces that just didn't add up. For example, he would tell us, I studied in Canada, and Canada is the worst city in the country, not city, excuse me, the worst country in the world, and all of that story. But then on his social media accounts, like, he would say like he studied in London, which London and Canada are very different. I mean, they're pretty far away from each other, and he hasn't said that once. Like, he said about Canada a few times, and he never said anything about London. So we were kind of like, okay, you know, that doesn't add up. So the questions he would ask, actually, they were very interesting. So in music class, yes, we learned some like more important things, but the things we would actually be examined on was like, how many women has Mozart slept with? And that was an actual thing, and he'd tell us stories with like, he had a child with her. It's not an official child, but like, he's hiding it. And then he would like tell us all of those. They're like legends because like they're not officially a thing, but that's the thing we had to know. And yeah, it was weird. He would constantly tell us these theories, or like this musician that on his grave, when you go there at night, he like sings with his violin and stuff, which like, okay, maybe like it's a tourist attraction or something, but like it's also weird coming from him. So it was all conspiracy theories all the way. Next thing that is like not too weird, but I found weird at some point, he would always give us candy. At the end of every class, we always were given candy, which was like weird at some point, because after we found out how creepy he is, like, me and my friend, we were like, I don't really want to take candy of him, because this seems like one of those stuff that my parents taught me, like, don't take candy from weird people you don't know, like just people you don't know. But I think that also applies to creeps that you know. Okay, so then he would tell us that he is a model, and he would like dress up as like famous Bulgarians, and he was like a model. And some of my friends, they do follow him on social media, and his social media is very weird. So basically on his social media, he will constantly post pictures of him being like, you know, super strong, like, you know, kind of like a bodybuilder type, where in real life it is very far from that. And like, he would upload the pictures that the art pieces that he drew of random people. But his social media was like really creepy. And if you go on, for example, his Facebook, my friends have shown me, like, he would constantly only post stuff about conspiracy theories, to a point where like everything was a conspiracy theory. And as I said, the same thing, like, I studied in Canada, but actually I studied in London. It was a like, I don't know, like, it was weird. So he would tell weird stuff not only to us but to other teachers. After we told everyone and we complained about him because he was being super creepy, other teachers came forward and they were like, yeah, he talks about weird stuff like that to us as well. So it wasn't just the kids. Then of course, after finding out that he has a theory about everything, the next story that I think is just amazing is about aliens. I asked him, do you believe in aliens? And he said, they are all amongst us, and I will not be sharing any more of it. Another interesting information that now comes to mind is the fact that he said that the Queen is part of the Illuminati. So the cloning of the Queen Elizabeth II is part of the Illuminati, everyone. Beware. Okay, next story is very funny. Okay, so he was telling us about how his great-grandfather, he was walking on the street, and then King Boris III, which was a king that was, like, for a short amount of time, he was in Bulgaria, he kidnapped him because he really liked him. And he kidnapped him, he told him how amazing he is, his great-grandfather that he kidnapped off the street, and then he gave him back. And then when the king died, his great-grandfather went to the funeral, and the guards gave him chocolate, and then he was banging on the coffin, being like, why, which, Sure, yeah, sure. Okay. Then another story that I found extremely entertaining. He showed up with an iPad and we were like, oh yeah, congratulations on your new iPad. And he's like, oh no, that's not new. I found him while I was in Canada. We were like, wait, how did you find it? Well, I was in a hotel and I found it in my room and I got an iPad. And we were like, well, that's stealing. Like, you should return it to Lost and Found. Well, no, the cleaning ladies told me to take it. Wait, like, why would the cleaning ladies give it to you but not to Lost and Found? Like, that does not make any sense. And then he went on to say, well, then I went to Lost and Found and they told me to keep it. And I was like, well, like, they can't tell you to keep it. Did you contact the person? Because, you know, you have all his information. He's like, yes, but he didn't respond to me, so I just took the iPad. And we were like, yeah, that's stealing, dude. Like, that's stealing. It all started from the fact that he said that he cannot download apps because he doesn't have the iTunes password because he basically stole the iPad. And then he was like, yes, those hotels, they're owned by the Ukrainian mafia. They are the worst mafia in the world. Now keep in mind, a few lessons prior to that, I told him that I'm half Ukrainian. And he started asking questions about my family, but I was like, you know what, I'm not doing that. Like, my father's Ukrainian, that's all I'm gonna give you. He was like looking at me and like telling how, you know, Ukrainians are like the worst people in the world and how they're the biggest mafia in the world and they own the world, basically all of those random stuff, which I took kind of as a joke because he was obviously not very okay. Then another beautiful story is how at some parts of Bulgaria there are witches that come out at night, and if you're out like after 8 p.m. they're gonna take your soul and you're gonna die, so people don't go out after 8 p.m. And he was a very big patriot. So he was telling us how Jesus was actually from Bulgaria. He was born in Bulgaria, but the Bible lied. Jesus is Bulgarian, y'all. And the whole world actually started in Bulgaria. People are lying that it started somewhere in Africa because it actually started in Bulgaria, because Bulgaria, we're the best, basically. Everything comes from us. So like, don't be surprised. There are probably a lot more things that I missed in this story. I don't remember all of them just because I have been keeping this story for a long time. It's been 2 years now, and I'm really happy that I finally got to share it because I think you're gonna have a good laugh with it. I think that the moral of the story is that yes, someone can be a teacher, but that doesn't mean that they know everything. And you shouldn't believe everything that you hear, even if it comes from a teacher. I mean, if it was direct music questions, then sure, I'm sure that he would have given me the information I needed, but about Illuminati, the Ukrainian mafia, and all the rest, I would rather him not talk to me. So if someone in your life, although if they're extremely smart, are telling you crazy stuff like that, be sure to double check your information. And even if you start to believe something, say it out loud, because it can seem very logical in your head, but when you say it out loud, you can actually hear how crazy it is. Unless you're like my music teacher who actually finds that stuff is actually real. Thank you guys so much for watching this story. I hope you had a good laugh and you learned the moral of not trusting everything you hear. And I'll see you in my next video. And remember, not perfect, just special. Bye.